I'm here at the Coke store in Las Vegas, and I'm gonna go inside and see what gadgets they have, and I'm gonna go home and test them out. So let's see how they work in today's video. Right, here we go. The Coke store is always fun. Here is my receipt. Let me see what we got here. Wow, I spent a lot there. The Coke store is not cheap. They got cool stuff, but they're not cheap. But let's see what I've got in order from cheapest to most expensive, and then we'll start testing them out. All right, the cheapest of the bunch is this $7.95 ice cube tray. This makes 10 Coke bottle shaped ice cubes. Next up at $10.95, I've got these kind of generic looking glasses. They almost feel like novelty glasses. It does have a Coke logo over here. They're kind of dirty. They're kind of dirty. Kind of got a little bit of the Tom Cruise, some risky business look going on. We'll take these outside and see how they actually work. Now here's something I bought that's not really part of this video. I just like this. These are some notepads. These were like 10 bucks. I just like the way they looked. So not part of the video, but I did buy them for myself. Let's see what we got here. Okay, next up is $18.95 is this Coke USB power bank. I didn't look at any of the info on this, but we'll get to that when I actually test it out. Looks cool though. I got a couple of $19.95 things, including these, which are pocket utensils. It looks like it's gonna be a fork, spoon, and knife according to this. So, oh, it says that right there as well. So it seems kind of expensive for just 3 of them, but maybe, I'm not sure if it has Coke on the actual utensils or just the holder itself. We shall find out. All right, this next one is very interesting to me. This is a stainless steel Coke can that supposedly can stay hot for 4 hours or cold for 12. That'll be easy to test out. It's also got this little straw right here that kind of pops out. So I have tested out things like this before, so this will be easy to test out. So we'll see how well this holds up. I've got 2 more. Both of these are $24.95. This one is an ice cream scoop. I've tested some ice cream scoops out in the past, so we'll see how this one holds up and if it's worth the extra cost. It looks very ornate. It looks like a Coke bottle. Kind of cool. But does it work? Let's find out. And finally, this one looked kind of interesting on the shelf. I've done something like this as well. This is a floating slushy maker. You add a liquid in there and stir it around and it turns into a slushy. Now, if it's anything like the other ones I tried out, you can't do artificial sweeteners, so you could do Coke, but not Diet Coke. All right, preliminaries out of the way. Let's get started with the first item. All right, first up, we got the ice cube tray. It's very small. Let's crack this open. All right, is that worth 8 bucks? If it didn't have Coke bottles, I would say absolutely not. But maybe the Coke bottle logo was worth the extra cost. Let me go rinse this thing out, fill it up, and then throw it in the freezer. I guess this wasn't the best thing to pour with. All right, is it overfilled? Maybe. But let's go put that in the freezer and come back tomorrow and see how that turned out. All right, here's what the ice cubes look like after being frozen. Let's pop them out of here and see how they look. They come out of here easily, that's nice. Let's see how they look. I mean, they're attractive looking ice cubes. There's not a lot of them, but they're attractive. Let's put them into a glass of water in my Coke cup and see how they look in there. Well, the details is pretty nice, pretty good. All right, once they get in the glass of water, they're gonna melt quick. They're not gonna look like Coke bottles for very long, I can already tell. It's kind of funny, the entire mold makes maybe enough for 1 glass. So you'd have to have a bunch of these to really make it worth it for a party or something. It's kind of cool. It's just, it doesn't make a lot, but I do like the way they look. Even when they start to melt, they still kind of look like Coke bottles. So in the end, it does work. Is it worth 8 bucks? I don't know. Depends on how big of a Coke fan you are, I guess. Some people might say yes. All right, let's get to the sunglasses now. There's no real indication that these are polarized. It doesn't really say. There's a little tag right there, that's it. So I think I need to go head out back and grab one of my polarization cards and give these a little test. First I gotta wash them off. It looks like someone had their fingers all over these. I guess all those tourists touching it before I actually ended up buying it. All right, let's take a look at the glasses themselves. It's a nice tint. It's not overly dark, but that's pretty standard. That is not polarized. If it's polarized, it'll look different. In fact, let me grab some polarized sunglasses and show you what this is supposed to look like. This pair of sunglasses is polarized, and take a look at how it looks with the polarized glasses. His glasses go on. My $11 Coke sunglasses, not polarized. Oh well. All right, so I've been out driving around with these Coke glasses on. Now for 11 bucks, they really aren't that bad. In fact, consider this. These are the $300 Ray-Ban Stories. Now these do have a camera and music feature in there, which I never really use. But just as sunglasses, there's not a huge difference. These are the Ampere Dusk, which are the tint changing glasses. Now these are kind of cool because you can change the tint. I use these quite a bit myself still. I usually have it about the second darkness level, which is almost exactly the same as the Coke glasses darkness. These cost $300, these are $11. You could say these are just cheap plastic sunglasses. These are plastic too. These are each 300 bucks. These are $600 worth of glasses here. These are 11. I think I'd go with the $11 ones, because if I lose these, I'm not out very much. These, I'm out a fortune. So I kind of like the Coke glasses really. For 11 bucks, not that bad really. Let's take a look at this Coke USB charging bank. It's very nice looking. Looking back on the specifications, this is a lithium-ion battery, capacity 2,200 milliamp hours, which is not a lot. That's maybe almost a phone's full charge. I had a 25,000 milliamp hour one I used to use, but it does look cool, so maybe it's worth the lower capacity. So let's crack this open, charge it up, and then see how it works. Oh, I like the way it feels. It kind of has there's a certain texture to it it's very pleasant to feel, and you have micro USB and the USB connector in the bottom here. I'll give you a little cable here, very small, and some microscopic instructions. I cannot read that. So is there any kind of an indicator light? I don't see it. I'm gonna plug this in and see if there's any kind of indicator light at all, because I don't see any lights at first glance. I am charging it on the floor down here, and there is an indicator light, so that's a good thing. So we do know that it is charging. I'm assuming it is gonna stop blinking or stay on, one of the two when it's done. All right, let's try out the power bank now, shall we? Now, first of all, it just looks nice. Now, I don't think it's gonna be enough to completely charge an entire phone. I've got a phone here that's exactly at 10% battery, and this phone has a 3,300 milliamp hour battery, so I should get a big chunk of my charge. So let's find out. Here we go, plugging in the power bank. Plugging it into the phone. I'll put the stopwatch on, we'll see how long it takes and how much battery power we get. And you can see from this light that it is charging right now. When this is done, I'll come back and let you know how it went. All right, at the 1 hour and 28 minute mark, it just finished. At the 120 minute mark, it started blinking, so about 8 minutes. I guess that's the warning that it's almost out of juice. For the final reveal, how much battery juice did I get on this phone, which has kind of an average battery capacity? We're at 51%, which means in about an hour and a half, I got a 41% battery charge. It's not the best charging bank out there, but it's probably one of the best looking. So once again, I think this is a matter of style over function. All right, I'm about to eat my lunch here. I need these utensils ASAP. Let's see what we got. All right, here's what it looks like. And they nest very well. That's kind of a nice feature. That's pretty small. Let me go wash these off and then start eating. All right, join me for lunch, will you? All right, now it's the Freakin' Reviews lunchtime break. I'm gonna have my enchiladas here and some soup, and hopefully I can use all three of these utensils, and hopefully they work for it. They're kind of small, but let's see. Maybe they're good. This is a very small knife. Look at that. That's gonna cut this. Let's see. They're kind of light. They don't bend easily, but they feel very light. And all of them have an indentation here so they can nest with each other, which is kind of nice. These almost feel like children's utensils. The knife is small, but it does cut, so I'm happy about that. Now, let me try the spoon with the soup here. The spoon is a pretty decent size. It's kind of like it's a small spoon, but not too small. I notice on the handle here it says Zoku, so the same maker as a Slushy Maker is the same maker as Utensils. I see a pattern here. It feels like the spoon is the closest to a full-size spoon. These two over here definitely feel like they're more travel, camping, small, almost children's-sized utensils. They work, and the knife actually cuts for how small it is, but it is very small. Oh no, the spoon just dropped in here. All right, I'm gonna finish eating this lunch off camera, but I'll give you my final thoughts when I'm done. All right, so my final thoughts about the utensils, I'm kind of torn about it. I mean, they do work, as long as you kind of keep in mind they're more like camping utensils. But one thing I don't like is that you kind of pay a premium for the Coke logo. They're not even on the utensils. You have it on the case here, and the case is very nice. In fact, the way they reside in there is actually nice too. But on the utensils themselves, it just says Zoku. Doesn't say Coke anywhere. And for 20 bucks, I want the Coke logo on the utensils too. But I mean, they do work though, but I wish the logo was on the utensils. All right, next up we've got this stainless steel Coke can here with the built-in straw. First thing I'm gonna do before I test it out is a drink dispenser. I'm gonna try the 4-hour hot and 12-hour cold test and see how they do. It'll be pretty easy to see how that works. Let's open this up here first of all. Oh, we got some instructions in there. It says hand wash only, do not use in the microwave. And it says it's leak and splash resistant, not completely leak proof. Not a problem, but let's load this up with some near boiling water, stick it in the fridge for 4 hours and see how it holds up. They warn not to overfill with completely hot liquid, so I'll leave a little bit of space in there, but let's see what the temperature is before I put it in the fridge. Basically about 200 degrees Fahrenheit, so nice and warm. All right, it's 3 p.m. right now. I'll come back at 7 and we're gonna measure it then and see how it does after 4 hours in the fridge. All right, it's been exactly 4 hours. Let's check it out. I would say it's warm, but it's not hot. So they say hot for 4 hours. I mean, is that hot really, 109 degrees? I mean, I walk around in warmer temperature than that. Let me stir it. I'll use that straw to stir it up. Well, it's still 109. Okay, so it's warm, it's not hot. So, you know, hot for 4 hours, iffy at best. But we still have the cold test to do, so tomorrow I'm gonna do that one. All right, let's try the cold water test here. I'm gonna put some ice cubes in here, some cold water, let it sit 12 hours and see how well it does. There you go. It really doesn't hold a lot of ice. That's 5 cubes, it's already overflowing, so I'm gonna go 4 cubes, and the rest is cold water. All right, 4 ice cubes and cold water. So I'm closing this up. So normally on a test like this, I'd stick it out in the blazing heat and see if there's any ice left at all, but it's kind of cold outside, it's warmer inside, so I'm gonna leave it in here. I'll come back in 12 hours and see if there's any ice left whatsoever. It's 9 a.m., I'll come back at 9 p.m. All right, here we go. It's been 12 hours. Let's take a look and see how cold this water still is. There is no ice in there whatsoever. It's just water. And it's cool water. It's pretty cool, 48 degrees. I mean, it kept it pretty cold for 12 hours. It didn't keep it ice cold, but it kept it in the 40. I think it's pretty good. Let me see here. It's pretty cold. They said it would keep it cold, and it did keep it cold. So the thing about this can is it works perfectly well. It's certainly nice to drink out of, but you can only use it with the straw. There's no removing the straw. I guess you could take the cap off and drink out of it that way, but that kind of defeats the purpose a little bit. There's only certain drinks I like to drink through a straw, so if it's not one of those, I'm not gonna use this. I do like it, I just wish the straw was optional. All right, here's the Coke ice cream scoop. It looks pretty nice. Here's my favorite ice cream scoop. This is a Z-roll. You can see the scoop is a little bit bigger, but that doesn't mean this one won't work though. On the other hand, the Z-roll doesn't stand up, but the Coke scoop does. They have their own pros and cons here. But let's start scooping and see how well this holds up. I mean, it feels well made. I mean, it doesn't bend. Let's dig into this ice cream and see how it goes. And let's see what we got. Okay, well, it cuts through the ice cream pretty nicely. And it forms a decent size scoop. Not the best I've ever seen, but decent. For comparison's sake, let's try the Z-roll. Look at the Z-roll. Look at this nice big scoops here. I'm just a fan of the Z-roll. Look at that. All right, let me try the Coke scoop one more time. It's not bad. It's compared to the Z-roll, it's not as good, but I think it's a competent ice cream scoop. It's just because the scoop isn't as deep as the Z-roll, you can't really get as perfectly formed scoops, but maybe a nitpicking. All right, not bad. I mean, it's a good ice cream scoop, but the Z-roll's a great one. So really, if the Coke design is more important to you, then it's certainly acceptable. If you want the best scoop out there, I'd probably stick with the Z-roll. All right, this is probably one of those cases where the style is probably a little more important than the function. The function is good, the style is great. As far as the Z-roll goes, the style is okay, but the function is great. All right, next up, this looks very familiar to me. In fact, I was looking at the packaging, and on the bottom, if you can read that, it's by Zoku, which is the same company that made the ones I tested out a couple years ago, so it is very similar to the one I tried out. So let's open this up and see what we got. It comes in 2 parts. I believe this is gonna go in the freezer. And this is just kind of an outer case to keep your hands from getting too cold. There's supposed to be a spoon in here. Oh, there is a spoon in here. I didn't see it. There's a spoon in here as well. Okay. Gently scrape and stir after every 60 seconds. All right, so now it's saying step 1 is to place this in the freezer for 8 to 18 hours. That's a lot to get one slushy, but I'll put it in the freezer for 18 hours and come back, I guess, tomorrow and test it out. So this part goes in the freezer and this part sits on the sidelines and rides the pine until it's done. We'll come back in about 24 hours after this is frozen and try it out. All right, it's out of the freezer. Let's see how it goes. Following the instructions here, after it comes out of the freezer, you put it in the inner sleeve. Pour a chilled Coca-Cola or other beverage into the float and slushy maker. To the fill line. Where's the fill line at? I guess this is the fill line right here. Now they say wait a minute or two and then start scraping every minute or two with this included scraper. All right, I'm at the 145 mark when I started, and I do see a little bit of ice forming on the sides here, so I think I should start scraping. There's not much, but I'm gonna scrape off the little bit there is in there anyways. So do that about every minute. It's been 4 minutes since I first added the Coke in there. And we are still getting ice on the sides, so I'm gonna do some more scraping. Oh, I can feel more ice than the first time. Ice is forming, so we are making progress here. Like we're even getting chunks like that. Oh, good. I guess it shouldn't be too much longer now. At the 7-minute mark, let's see how it looks. They say on the box about 7 minutes. Let's see. It's looking pretty slushy-like. This is what we got. Very slushy-like. I still feel like it's forming more slush though. I feel like if I let it go longer, it'll be even more slushy. Well, this consistency is pretty good. I mean, I think I would probably like this, but let's see what happens if I leave it a little bit longer. I'll go like to about 9 minutes and then I'll eat it. All right, it's been 9 minutes now. Let's take a closer look here. There's still some on the edges that I can scrape off, but the consistency is really nice. I don't think it's really changed a lot since the 7-minute mark. I think it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. But how's it taste? It tastes like those Coke slushies you get from 7-Eleven when you're a kid in the summertime. I mean, it did take 18 hours plus another 9 minutes, but it does taste good. It might be an incredibly long experience. It might be kind of expensive, but hey, it's a nice tasting slushy. That's all that matters, right? All right, so that's it. I guess if I had to give all these a collective grade, I'd give them an A for style, probably a C for function, and maybe a D for the price. If I had to pick a favorite of the bunch, I would say it's the glasses because 11 bucks actually seems kind of reasonable for what you get. But that's all I've got. If you've tried any of these products, tell me what you think in the comments below. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.